With a show of hands, how many of you changed your mobile phones in the last 2 years? Great. And how many of you installed software updates on your mobiles or your laptops in the last 1 year? And now tell me, how many of you installed some of these updates the minute you became aware of them? Now, what does this mean? From where I stand, it shows us that technology is constantly changing, and continuous enhancement is the only key to staying in touch with the outside world. We must upgrade technology or we will be left out. We won't be able to use the systems. We all know what happened with Kodak, Nokia, and BlackBerry. Just like technology, we as people have also undergone continuous development. Living in our world means to adapt or die. When we don't upgrade technology, let's say if you're talking about your phone, it will throw challenges at us. The phone will slow down, it'll start to hang, the battery will start draining faster, and 1,000,001 other crazy situations. Can you see the parallels where if we don't upgrade ourselves and acquire relevant skills, we could end up in boredom, anxiety, depression perhaps, living in low self-esteem, constantly complaining, gossiping, and more. We as humanity have come a long way journeying through our complexities, and now we are entering the age of exponential disruption. Well, it's time for another upgrade. But what do we need? What is going to work? This made me sit up and think, what got me here? How was I able to handle all the various challenges or difficulties that came my way and still progress and feel happy about it? Were the skills I engaged unique to me, or was there something in common with several other successful people that I knew? So I started reading and researching, having dialogues with various experts, behavioral enthusiasts, to see if this was in line with their findings and their own experiences as well. I finally funneled down all these learnings to 3 fundamental skills that are going to help us in the long run. So instead of changing them, we could just strengthen them to fit our needs. And the best part about these skills is that everyone is capable of building them. And that includes everyone present here today as well. I call these skills the car for an enriching journey. CAR is a set of skills that we are going to need to be able to not only survive, but also thrive amidst this disruption. CAR is independent of the decisions you make or the directions you choose. So you could be a student or a professional, an entrepreneur or an industrialist. Practicing CAR will contribute significantly in the fulfillment of most of your professional and personal ambitions. You'll find clues to what CAR stands for in the short snippets that I'm going to now share with you. 26 June 1998, I got a call on my landline. Mobiles weren't common then. May I speak with Vinee Ajmera? I said, yeah, that's me. Is this a good time to talk? Yeah, tell me. Vinee, I'm calling from Jet Airways. Congratulations, you've been selected. This was my first job, and it was a really, really difficult job to get back then, 19 years ago, in 1998. I was super excited, and she asked me, she could sense it, and she said, are you thrilled? Yeah, totally. And then she went about giving me details of getting some medical tests done and asked if I was free the following week. I said, yeah, I am. Great. Just one more thing. Yeah. From today, she said, drop the yeah. The word is yes. Thus began my discovery of the power of communication. That one instruction changed the way I looked at communicating forever. I started noticing nuances in language. In fact, even till today, I see so many senior leaders also that use words such as yeah in their vocabulary, and it takes away from their personality and the seriousness they ought to bring to formal setups. At Jet Airways, we were told that we had to greet as many people as we saw in a day. We thought this was a joke, but we stood corrected when they said even if it meant as many as 200 to 300 people. I don't think that was cool at all. I was a complete introvert, and this was way outside my comfort zone. But well, you do what you gotta do. So I did just that. Within a short span of time, I realized that the crux of effective communication, in fact, was in interaction, in listening, in using the right body language, and also in making people feel comfortable so they'd open up to me. I started learning about their thought processes, their culture, the nature of their work, and I'm still always curious for more. That practice, which I started 19 years ago, I continue to carry on. I realized that technical skills will take me places, but what will truly differentiate me and take me everywhere are my communication skills. Communication isn't a one-way street. We all love to talk, but also we all love to be heard. And we also love the ones who hear. So I started listening, not only with my eyes and my ears, but also with my heart. And this became an accelerator in my car of fulfillment, helping me establish really deep and meaningful connections over time. A recent example was when I was coaching a successful serial entrepreneur. His concern was that he couldn't take his venture to the next level. And from all the effective questioning and his demeanor, I realized that he, in fact, wasn't uninterested as he portrayed he was. He said he tended to lose interest after achieving a certain milestone. But he didn't seem that. He didn't seem uninterested. He was, in fact, quite troubled about it. I brought this to his notice because I could say from his demeanor. And then, with effective coaching, I got him to think deeper and share his real concerns. What emerged was an aha moment for him. He had found clarity not just in his thoughts. He realized that it wasn't his short interest span, but a vague, undefined target that was holding him back. And my aha moment was that I listened effectively, meaning I paid attention not only to his words, but also to his feelings and helped him find his answers. Today, the foundation of my initiative personage rests on this understanding of people. It is important that we communicate to connect. March 2014, I got lucky with an opportunity to pitch my services to one of India's largest jewelry retailers. I was barely a month into entrepreneurship then. During the pitch, they asked me, "Who are your other corporate retail clients?" I froze. I had none. It had only been a month. I didn't really know what to say. I was so sure of winning this, and suddenly I saw it slipping. I knew I had lost this contract. I somehow pulled myself together and decided to tell them the truth, that you would be my first corporate big client. Surprisingly, with all the likelihood of losing the contract, I felt pretty confident when I said it. Had I lied about it or made up about having other big clients to not risk it, given that it's quite easy to drop names, I know I would have faltered. But my choice was between the easy wrong and the tough right. Expectedly, they were disappointed, and they asked me, why then should we work with you instead of others? This time, I told them what holds true even today, that I give my all in whatever I do, and hence I leave myself with no choice but to excel. A week later, they signed up with me. I realized that they had bought my conviction, but more than that, they had bought my authenticity. People are okay if you're not 100%. What miffs them is when you're not authentic about it. It's really hard and exhausting to constantly try and understand or trust someone who's faking it. Now, you may wonder, where did this whole awareness and intent for entrepreneurship emerge from? Well, personality continues to take shape over years and decades. Over 17 years ago, I took off international to start my world, expand my world with Singapore Airlines. And took off with me the idea of becoming super popular, fitting in, making the mark wherever I went. I started sharing my apartment with a bunch of friends, and for the next couple of weeks went out of my way trying to please them. I took on 80% of all the chores. I started paying bills for things I didn't use, and generally started getting bossed around. I thought I was doing a great job with them. But in no time, I started hating it. I felt taken for granted. I got angry and resentful. And of course, I realized that this was all my own doing. I had not been honest with myself. I was never this wonderful or amazing with my own family. And here, in my desperation to fit in, I'd kind of lost the plot. It struck me that inauthenticity isn't only when you are trying to deceive or manipulate other people, but it's also when you're trying to be larger than your own boots. I moved out, and in the bargain, I lost my friends. Over the next many years, whenever I started falling for this temptation of masking myself to please others or for instant gratification, I would immediately check myself and get real again. There was too much to lose in trading my authenticity for someone else's approval. By being myself, my exchanges were effortless. They were natural. And people related to me and accepted me for who I was. So I urge all of you to be real. Be yourself. Trust the person that you are, not the one that you think you should be. Authenticity is, in effect, the purest and deepest form of confidence. 2003, I got married. A big, fat Indian wedding. The ultimate dream sequence. You get the picture, right? It was all that I ever wanted. Yeah. It was all that I ever wanted. And now I had it. I couldn't wait to start my happily ever after. Sadly, that dream shattered. In no time, my marriage failed, and my world came crashing down. I didn't really understand what happened, and I couldn't really make sense of it. But I decided not to indulge my grief. And that is when the battle really began between my resilience and the devastating reality of what was to follow. This happened almost about 14 years ago. It wasn't commonplace back then. I had to move on. But it was so hard to pick up from where I had left. I had thrived in my previous roles, and now I had already lost 2 crucial years in looking for direction. I restarted my career with the best option available at the time, even though it meant earning lesser than before. But here's this. I ended up earning way more in terms of reclaiming myself and regaining a lot of my lost self-esteem and some of my self-confidence. In a few years, opportunity presented itself to move forward with a corporate SR group. Now, this was another challenge altogether. It was a different industry from aviation to corporate. It was a different role. It needed different skill sets, including Microsoft Office. Gosh, I had no clue how to work it back then. And of course, most importantly, it needed a completely different level of tolerance. Fortunately, I guess the forces of nature balanced it with brilliant mentors and bosses that I had out there. So I decided to slog it out. I worked really hard, learned the ropes, and ended up flourishing in that corporate role. In retrospect, I think this was the turning point in my career. I had refused to stay down and out. There's no manual on life situations, right? And also there's no prediction, there are no processes. Shocks or surprises, you've just got to jump in, accept the reality, and then do your best. A few years down, I graduated to another thought. I had done this. Why was I to not forge a life for myself off my own back now? And that's how my company, Personage, came about. You can clap at this point. This still remains the highlight of my life, so I'd say, am I happy about it? Tons. But it hasn't all been plain sailing, you see. I am a single woman standing here in front of you who started her own venture at 34 with her own money and little business experience. In the country we live in, this can be frowned upon, even by the self-proclaimed torchbearers of open-mindedness and modernity. Now, I don't know why this is, but I experience this reality ever so often in different manifestations. Yet, that hasn't discouraged me. Rather, it's fueled my fire. You've got to stick it out, you've got to stay strong, and you've got to take it through. And the fulcrum of this is resilience. Arguably one of the most important qualities, and one that I've held on to and continue to hold on to for a very long time. Nothing comes easy. You've got to toil, you've got to sweat it out to feel and experience the kind of satisfaction that moves you from within. The times when I doubt myself, I focus on my strengths. To me, resilience isn't about being perfect or independent always. No, you've got to find the strength to continue. Maybe in the people that do love you. For me, that is my family and my closest friends who've seen me through all this. They've nurtured me and encouraged me. But another really great way to build your resilience is to just go all out, do your thing, and not worry about failing. If it doesn't work out, learn from it and start over. All great and successful people have failed at some point, but they do not fear failure. It's how you pick yourself up afterwards and what you do next. Now, when I think about it, I think it has always been in the discomfort of my comfort that I keep discovering my growth quotient. And hence, I still choose to keep moving forward and pushing the boundaries. So, in summary, what has driven me this far is my car, communication, authenticity, and resilience. I use it in my coaching, I use it in my trainings, I use it with my friends, I use it in my relationships, and I've always found amazing results. Practicing car will help you connect effectively with the world and with the much discussed volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment. You want people who connect at a deeper level, people who are real and people who are resilient, people who not only express themselves better, but who can also understand you. When you meet such a person, you want to be with such a person. I say, how about being such a person? Right now, you're all studying. But when you take off into the real world, be it corporate, entrepreneurship, bachelorhood, relationships, bear in mind, I urge you to bear in mind these three tenets of communication, authenticity, and resilience, your car to build on that will drive you through an enriching journey and take you to the success you so aspire. We are all perfectly capable of driving a BMW or an Ambassador. The choice is yours. Thank you.